We all say we want to change, but the moment it gets hard, we retreat. Not because we're weak, but because our brains confuse growth with threat. The Stoics saw this clearly. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly kills our potential. The hard thing? That's where you come alive. The Stoics lived in a world much harsher than ours. War, exile, slavery, disease, and yet they somehow cultivated an inner calm most of us would envy. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth, but wrote nightly about resisting comfort. Epictetus was a slave, but taught that true freedom comes from self-control. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, but practiced sleeping on the floor just to remind himself that he could. Their secret wasn't self-hate or masochism. It was understanding how the mind works. The Stoics knew something modern neuroscience now confirms. Your brain is wired to avoid discomfort. It's designed to keep you safe, not to make you wise. But safety and wisdom rarely live in the same house. So the central tension of this video is this: how do we override a brain that fears difficulty without becoming rigid, joyless machines? How do we choose the harder thing, not because we like pain, but because it leads to freedom? Let's start with the science. Your brain evolved for survival, not success. It rewards comfort because comfort once meant safety, warmth, food, security. And it punishes discomfort, hunger, exhaustion, uncertainty, because those once meant danger. So when you decide to take a cold shower or start writing that novel or face an uncomfortable truth, your ancient brain says, nope, threat detected. You feel it as resistance, procrastination, or anxiety. But here's the paradox. In modern life, the things that feel dangerous, challenge, effort, risk, are exactly what help us grow. The Stoics understood this intuitively. Marcus wrote, "The obstacle is the way." What he meant wasn't poetic, it was psychological. The very things your brain resists are the path to your higher self. So the Stoic answer to this biological trap is simple, but hard. Don't negotiate with your feelings. Act according to reason, not comfort. As Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, because your improvement will feel wrong to the part of your brain that craves ease. Let's bring this to real life. Imagine you're about to have a tough conversation, maybe with a boss, a friend, or a partner. Your stomach tightens, your heart races, your mind screams, avoid it. That's not weakness, that's your amygdala, the brain's ancient alarm system, misfiring. It's confusing emotional discomfort with physical threat. The Stoics trained themselves to see this signal differently. They'd pause and ask, is this truly harmful or merely unpleasant? That single question separates the impulsive from the wise. Unpleasant isn't dangerous, it's just unfamiliar. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He was describing cognitive distortion, 2,000 years before psychology named it. So when your brain panics at discomfort, try a Stoic reframe. This is not pain, it's training. You're rewiring your nervous system to tolerate what others run from. That's not numbness, that's resilience. Here's the biggest misunderstanding about discipline. We think we need to feel ready before we act, but feelings follow action, not the other way around. Your brain releases motivation chemicals after you start doing the hard thing, not before. The Stoics knew this instinctively. They didn't wait for inspiration. They practiced deliberate discomfort, cold baths, fasting, silence, solitude, to prove that they could. Why? Because each act of voluntary hardship tells your brain, I am not a slave to you. You become, as Epictetus would say, an athlete of the mind. And like any athlete, your strength grows only when tested. Now let's fast forward 2,000 years. Our brains are ancient, But our world is engineered for stimulation. Every scroll, every notification, every sugar hit gives a microdose of dopamine. You're training your brain to crave constant reward and reject anything that feels slow or effortful. That's why studying feels unbearable, reading feels too long, and deep work feels impossible. The Stoics warned about this before screens existed. They called it luxuria, the addiction to ease. Seneca wrote, "Softness comes from luxury, strength from habit." He meant that comfort becomes a cage, a velvet prison that dulls the mind. The Stoic cure isn't to abandon pleasure, but to discipline your relationship with it. To enjoy dopamine, but not depend on it. In practice, that means small, deliberate denials. Don't check your phone first thing in the morning. Delay a craving by 10 minutes. Do something difficult on purpose. These micro-struggles retrain your brain's reward system and rebuild the lost capacity for focus, patience, and inner calm. Now, let's make this practical. The Stoics didn't just think, they trained. They turned philosophy into daily drills, what Marcus Aurelius called spiritual exercises. Here's how you can apply the Stoic way to break your brain's comfort loop. Premeditatio malorum. Visualize hardship. Every morning, imagine the difficulties ahead, not to worry, but to prepare. When discomfort arrives, you'll say, "I expected you." Voluntary discomfort. Practice small hardships. Take a cold shower, skip a meal, speak less, sleep on the floor once in a while. Each act tells your brain, "I can endure more than I think." View from above. Reframe the struggle. When something feels unbearable, zoom out. In the grand scheme, how much does this really matter? Perspective dissolves panic. Amor fati. Love your fate. Don't just accept difficulty, embrace it. Every hard thing becomes a test, every test a teacher. This is how Stoics turned resistance into ritual, how they transformed fear into fuel. So what have we learned? Your brain avoids hard things because it's ancient, built to keep you alive, not to make you exceptional. Comfort feels safe because it once was safe. But we no longer live in a world where ease equals survival. Now comfort kills ambition. Discomfort builds character. The Stoic path isn't about rejecting pleasure or glorifying pain. It's about recognizing that growth requires friction. When you stop fearing effort, something shifts. The alarm in your mind becomes a signal, not a stop sign, and every hard thing becomes a chance to practice mastery. So next time your brain says, "This is too hard," ask it, "Or is this where I start to grow?" Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Your brain will always whisper, "Take the easy way." But the Stoic in you can smile and say, "No, I take the true way." Because discipline isn't punishment. It's liberation, the ability to do what's right, even when it's hard. So the next time you feel resistance, remember, that's not a wall. That's the doorway to freedom. What do you think? Does your mind resist the things you need most? Drop your take below, and maybe take the harder path today.